Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to Season 17 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series, presented by SM Racing Products. Today we are here to go a little bit short tracking once again here in these mini stock machines here at the Southern National Motorsports Park down here in Lucama, North Carolina. Track opened up back in 1993, so a little bit of a newer track on the schedule, but still a track with a pretty decent amount of racing history down here in the southeast of the United States. Coming in at 0.4 miles in length, or 0.64 kilometers for those of you who use the metric system. Definitely one of the shorter tracks here on the platform. One of the tracks that comes free on iRacing for the rookie level drivers to test their skills and start developing at. And of course, this mini stock here is a rookie level car, even if it is a new one to the iRacing.com platform fairly recently. It'll definitely be interesting to see how all of these very seasoned ASRC drivers managed to take to this very familiar short track from the beginning of their careers. Of course, 13th time that ASRC has come to this speedway, 12th time that the Oval Series has visited here. This track hosted one open wheel series race that was a 270 lap race here in the Pro Mazda, but otherwise all the races here have been with the actual Oval Series in all sorts of short track cars, street stocks, late models, tour modifieds, you name it, we have raced it here at this track. But this is going to be the first time that these drivers have brought the mini stock out here. Most wins at this track comes to Tyler McRae with 3 to his name. 2 were back-to-back in 2022 Season 4 and 2023 Season 1. But our most recent winner here, all the way back in November of 2023, was going to be none other than Mike Young. So it's been a full year since drivers have taken to the Southern National Motorsports Park. Going to be very interesting to see how they managed to do here this evening. Taking a look down here at qualifying, starting out on the grid here in the number 12 machine is going to be none other than our current points leader here this evening. That's going to be Garrett Hess in the Hardcore 10 OC entry out of Mechanicsville, Maryland. Starting his outside in the number 7 machine, that is going to be none other than Mark Royce down there in the black and orange flame in number 7. That's going to be Garrett Streets in the SM Racing Products number 15 machine back in position number 3. Of course, Streets being the S in SM Racing Products. He's going to be rolling off back there in 3rd. Back and forth going to be the McConey Setup Shop driver, multi-time champion, Mr. Brian Sabelski, coming here out of Denver, Colorado, rolling off position number 4. Back in 5th, that's going to be League Administrator Jason Gardner in the number 93 ASRC entry back there, rolled off position number 5. Then it's going to be the 78 of Derek Murphy, unsponsored here in tonight's race. He's going to be rolled off back in position number 6. Back in 7th in the number 4 entry, that is going to be the HTB entry of Daniel Sparks back there, driver out of Calgary, Canada, rolling off position number 4. Unfortunately, Michael Sparks not making it out to the field here tonight, so he will be the only Sparks in attendance here this evening. He's rolling off position number 7. Back in 8th, that's the CZ Robotics driver of Corey Logan in the number 24. Won the Week 13 race here at this track in this car. He's definitely a driver to keep an eye on here tonight. Then going further back, going to be the K9P Racing entry. That's the 188 of Joshua Rudolph out of Medford, Wisconsin. And finally, round out the tail end of the field here, that's going to be the number 45 Motor Racing Network entry of Mark Kluge. Just like that, though, green flag up in the air here. We are racing at the Southern National Motorsports Park. 10 cars taken to the field, 100 laps is the distance, and Garrett Hess is going to lead the field through turns 1 and 2. Pulling away down the back straightaway, he's going to lead the field across the line here for lap number 1. Just behind, Garrett Streets has 2 very hungry drivers just behind him, Jason Gardner and Mark Royce, all over the bumper of that number 15 machine. Streets, a last-minute sign-up here this evening. Didn't really get to see him out here in practice or qualifying. Of course, he was able to get a qualifying lap turn. That's how he started this far up the field, but really last-minute appearance for this driver. But he seemed to be doing pretty solid down there, still hanging on to position number 2 as just behind Jason Gardner and Mark Royce duke it out for the 3rd position. Brian Zabelski also back there getting involved in this battle. He's going to send it in real down low into turns 1 and 2 there in that 85 machine. trying to get to the inside of that number 7 of Mark Royce. Not quite close enough to be able to do it, though, and Mark Royce going to come down, try and cut the nose off of him so he can't make the move going down into 1-2, but not quite able to do so. Now Daniel Sparks just behind that 85 machine. He's all over the rear bumper of him here in that HTB entry. Coming into tonight's event, point standings are very close between a lot of these drivers. Garrett Hess, of course, leads the field, the most winningest driver so far here this season. 2 wins to his name out of the 4 races so far. That's Garrett Streets in second in point standings, 10 points behind him. Then Brian Sabelski back in third in the point standings. And, of course, they're running 1, 2, and 5th right now in this 10-car field. And with a couple of drivers who are regular attendees here in the series not able to make it out here tonight, this could be a big points night for some of these drivers that have been finishing more in the middle of the pack throughout the season so far. Of course, last week was at Road Atlanta, which was a major curveball for a lot of these drivers, especially in this car, which is so difficult to drive on these left and right turning tracks. These drivers were able to make it work without any cautions, and next week they will be going to another road course, heading over to Lime Rock Park next week. That should be a fun one to watch as well, and see how that shakes things up in the point standings. Mark Royce still trying to get to the inside of Jason Gardner here in that number 7 machine. He had the nose down there, but not quite able to make it stick down on the bottom of the track. And now Brian Sabelski back here trying to see if he can't make something work for him up on the outside line in this number 85 machine. Sabelski down a position from where he qualified. Royce down two spots from where he started. But so far, so good here in the field. Of course, in third position, had a really solid finish last week at the road course at Road Atlanta, which really isn't a shock. Brian Sabelski, a very well-known road course ringer here in the ASRC Oval Series, managed to walk away with a podium finish last week. Looking to see what he can do here tonight to potentially try and close that points gap up to the 2 Garretts that lead the point standings and are also leading the field right now up at the front of this race. A little bit of a slide there out of the corner for that number 93 of Jason Gardner there. Managing to hang on to it. It doesn't look like it's cost him too much time here. He's falling back a little bit from Garrett Streets, but it doesn't look like Royce or Sabelski are really catching up to him right now. Sabelski now trying to go down to the bottom here, down the back straightaway. He's got the nose in there, pulls up alongside through 3 and 4, but just loses all of his momentum going through the corner. But Sabelski manages to stay at the bottom. Royce manages to stay to the top. So they're going to hold on to that position for the time being, still battling it out through 3 and 4 here. But it is going to be Sabelski that has the advantage across the line there, but neither one of these drivers is going to be giving up that easy here. Royce still trying his best to hang on here. But just like that, Sabelski is able to clear him, and Royce gets a bit of a wiggle coming out of turn number 4. That's going to cost him a little bit of time there, and that will really allow Sabelski to clear him up here and get back onto that preferred line. Of course, in these slow, low horsepower cars, really the bottom of the speedway is where you want to be. Just lock it down there, as now Gardner and Streets are digging out here. Streets up on the high line, Gardner down on the bottom in that ASRC number 93 machine. Gardner up 2 positions from where he qualified, going to make it up 3 there as he gets in front of the 15 machine, at least as he comes across the line, as now we have a 4-way battle as Sabelski and Royce are getting involved in this whole kerfuffle here as well. And of course, just behind back there, Daniel Sparks is really excited to see these 4 drivers bidding it out, because that's just going to be slowing them all up and allowing him to catch up to this battle. In the same vein, Hess is also really excited to see this, because as long as these 4 keep duking it out with each other, they're going to be slowing each other down, and that's going to allow Hess to continue to further his now 2.5-second lead here over the rest of the field. Royce able to get down below Sabelski, but he drifts up the track coming out of the corner. Sabelski is now going to get back down inside of him. Very big pinch down there by the number 7 machine, but both drivers keep it clean here. No contact between the two of them, but this is going to be real neck and neck here between Sabelski and Royce as they try to battle for this 4th position. And of course, now you see Daniel Sparks is closing in on this battle as well. They have all slowed each other up, and that has allowed him to get involved in this battle pretty much for 2nd all the way back to 6th here. Single filant back out now, but I'm sure we're going to see one of these drivers try and make a big move here in these next several laps. And of course, not a whole lot of time to play with here. Already 25 laps in the books out of 100. If they keep this thing green, these 100 laps will go by very quickly here. But of course, that is a major what if. I did see a decent deal of cautions earlier on in the season. Back at Limeland, there was I think 7 cautions back on the dirt track. But of course, for a lot of these drivers, that was their first dirt tracking experience, so kind of can be excused there. But here on the asphalt track, it's just going to be very competitive. Lots of beating and banging as these drivers try and throw everything they've got at each other here. You can see Royce has gotten up a couple positions here. Now he's battling for the 3rd position with Streets, as Sabelski has fallen back here just a little bit. Royce now right to the left quarter panel of that number 15 machine. Almost looked like he was going to be able to make a move there, but not quite able to. He's getting mighty close to it, though. Same moment, let's go a little bit further back. Let's ride on board here with Daniel Sparks and see what he sees with this battle up just in front of him. Sparks backing off just a little bit from this battle, just in case anything too particularly spicy happens here between these drivers. Give himself a little bit of room to work with to check out in case of an emergency. But right now, doesn't really seem like there's too much to be worried about, because of course we're only 30 laps into the books here. Still a little bit of the race left to go. So you gotta be careful, gotta make sure you have tires to work with at the end of the race. Don't want to push too hard too early. I think right now that's just Sparks' game plan, is to be patient here and see if he can't pick any spots up here in the long run. Once again, looking back down here at the battle between Streets, Royce, and Sabelski. Gardner pulling away just a little bit from this battle. Not all that much, though, but at least a little bit to have some breathing room from these drivers. All continuing to just beat and bang here. Really more with the wall than they are with each other. Touching a little bit too hard coming out of turn number 2. Lots of scrapes against the outside wall. Down the back straightaway here. Now Royce going down to the bottom, trying to get around that 15 machine of Streets and work his way up into the 3rd position here. Gardner still comfortably holding on to 2nd for the time being, now up to about a 0.7 of a second lead over these 3 drivers as they still continue to duke it out here, coming down through turns 1 and 2 once again. You can see up at the front, though, Garrett Hess has effectively checked out here, now up to a 3.2 second lead over the rest of the field right now. Can't even see him up in front of Gardner anymore. Well, we might be able to see him as we cut around here. Sure enough, going down into turns 3 and 4 as Gardner is coming out of turns 1 and 2. And also just goes to show how small of a gap 3 seconds, or actually how big of a gap 3 seconds actually is here on such a tiny raceway like this. Of course, only 0.4 of a mile. These laps are getting clicked by about every 15 seconds, a little bit over 15 seconds right now. Some drivers in the 16-second range. So definitely a very fast speedway as we have 3 drivers all scraping the outside wall, trying to get as good of an entry into turn 3 as possible. And it might just work out for Royce here. He's got the nose down to the inside of the 15 machine once again. Dialing it out for the third position here. And it looks like Royce has it. Sabelski going down to the bottom of the speedway here, going to try and follow the hole that Mark Royce has punched here. See if he can't get around that 15 machine as well. But it's not going to be easy for him. Streets is not going to just hand away the position, and he's still trying his best to battle it out with that 7 machine of Royce right now, but I don't know if he's going to be able to make it to work back here. He might, though. He had the advantage going down into turns 1 and 2 there across the line. And we might just see a pass happen on the outside line here. Sure enough, Street's still up on the outside line. He hasn't quite cleared the 7 machine, but he is certainly going faster than him. Now Sabelski sees it too. Sabelski goes up to the high line. He's going to try and follow through on the high line with the 15 machine to get around Mark Royce here. And there's contact. Streets is around. The caution flag is out on the speedway for the first time here this evening at the Southern National Motorsports Park, just shy of halfway through tonight's event. Very unfortunate to see there. That's going to bump Streets. Looks like back to the 6th position is where they have him scored right now. They look down here at this incident, looking at the 7 of Mark Royce and the 15 machine of Streets as they go down here into this incident. We'll bust out the slow-mo camera here for this one. Going down into turns 3 and 4. Streets on the high line. Royce on the bottom. And just the slightest little bit of contact is all it took to upset the rear end of that car and send him around. A little bit of contact there with Sabelski, it looks like. Well, right on board with that 85 machine. See what he saw going into this incident. But it did look like there was a little bit of contact there between himself and the 15 machine as he tried to get around this incident. But all it took was a little, tiny little nudge. And these cars are just so lightweight that little bit of contact was all she wrote. We have some drivers making pit stops down here, though. Garrett Streets is down. Derek Murphy, Corey Logan, and Daniel Sparks have all come down pit lane. They're going to gamble their luck on tires here, see how things work out for them. The 4 of them were already running sort of near the tail end of the field here, so might as well take the gamble, see if it works out for you. They don't have to worry all that much about track position. That said, what I am very interested about is seeing some of these drivers take 4 tires here. Murphy took 4 tires, and it looks like Streets took 4 tires here as well. Sparks also took 4 tires. It was only Corey Logan that looks like took 2 here. So I'm very curious to see how this works out for him. We do have 3 drivers lap down. It looks like all the drivers that took 4 tires have been put a lap down here. Definitely a dangerous game to play just because of how short the pace laps here are. Taking 4 tires in these mini stocks where pit stops aren't exactly common, they spent about 23 to 24 seconds in their pit stop, and it's only about 25 seconds per lap under the pace car. That said, green flag back up in the air, and we are officially halfway in tonight's event here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Garrett Hess, of course, leads the field to green as Royce and Gardner battles it out for 2nd. Sabelski and Logan just behind, battling out for 4th and 5th. Crossing the line, Garrett Hess leads the field for that first lap on the initial restart, but it is an absolute hornet's nest back here for 2nd on back through just about 6th here. Basically, all the drivers still on the lead lap are all over each other here, scrambling for positions on this restart. But Gardner finding himself stuck up on the high line, not the place you want to be. He is going to lose the spot to the 7 of Mark Royce, but he's going to be able to filter back in line there. Now we'll just see if he's able to hang on to it. Brian Sabelski, Corey Logan both running just behind, 2 very fast drivers here in the ASRC Oval Series. It could still be anyone's game here, though. Still about halfway left here in tonight's event. Of course, we're only 15 minutes into the race, so pretty short race here this evening. Especially should these drivers be able to keep it green for the rest of the way through. One driver drifting up high there a little bit. That looks like Derek Murphy, who is battling for the lucky dog position here with Daniel Sparks and Garrett Streets. Sparks up there in that HTV number 4. All these 3 drivers are duking it out for the lucky dog position. Should a caution flag fly, one of them will be fortunate enough to be put back on the lead lap. The other 2 going to have to continue to pace their way around a lap down, of course, unless there's another caution, and then they'll get their opportunities to get back up to the lead lap as well. Currently looking down at Corey Logan and Brian Sabelski, who are both hot on the heels here of Jason Gardner for that 3rd position. But I'll tell you what, Garrett Hess is not pulling away like he did in that initial green flag run. And hang on to it there, almost contact between Sabelski and Gardner. That was a little bit scary to see. Might have just been the camera angle. But it looked like there almost might have been a little bit of theatrics there going into turn number 1. But everyone around the speedway is looking A-okay, and that's just some hard racing there for you, as we do have a battle for the race lead between Hess and Mark Royce here. Hess, our current points leader. Mark Royce coming into tonight's event back in the 7th position in the points, 1 point ahead of Mark Kluge, 2 points ahead of Corey Logan. Like I said, with a couple of the higher points finishers so far this season unable to attend tonight's event, this could be a big points night for some of these drivers that have run more in the mid-pack. And Mark Royce, a 2nd place finish would be a big points evening for him in that number 7 machine. A little bit further back, still that Hornet's Nest continues to rage on for 4th on back here. In contact there between the 15 and the 24. That was the 15 of Streets and the 24 of Corey Logan. Corey on the lead lap here. Streets is not, nor is Daniel Sparks back there. Streets, of course, took those 4 fresh tires under the pit stop, and it's looking like these new tires might actually be doing some favors for these drivers. If they were on the lead lap, they would be making some serious gains right now, getting around Corey Logan, getting around Sabelski, and now both of them are looking to put the pressure down here on Jason Gardner. We'll see how things shake up as they cross the line this time by, because I'm really curious to see what the lap times are looking like on these new tires. Coming across the line right now, our race leader just did a 16.35. The rest of the drivers looking in the 16.2 to 16.4 range. However, Streets and Sparks both just did 16.1s on these new tires. Like I said, if another caution flag comes out, if one of these drivers gets back up on the lead lap with these fresh 4 tires, that could be a huge deal here. Because there's definitely a monumental amount of speed difference here. And actually, there's so much speed difference, we might just see Garrett Streets and Daniel Sparks manage to unlap themselves here. They are gaining on our race leaders right now. That is how much faster those 4 new tires are going for them. Streets here again. That 15 machine we're looking at is a lap down car right now, putting the pressure on the number 7 machine, and he's going to get down to the inside of him. He's going to be putting the pressure down on our race leader here in just a couple laps to unlap himself. And if he manages to do it, then that could be a really big deal for Daniel Sparks, because we might see Streets unlap himself, then a caution flag fly. That would give Sparks the lucky dog. We could see 2 drivers on 4 fresh tires get put back on the lead lap here if they play their cards light and have a little bit luck in their favor. Of course, Daniel Sparks just behind here. He's putting a bunch of pressure here on that number 7 machine as well, so he might just unlap himself on pace here, just the same way that Sparks is looking to do. Or just the same way that Streets is looking to do. And sure enough, Streets goes down the inside. Garrett Streets has officially unlapped himself over Garrett Hess. Perhaps a little bit of a redemption arc for that number 15 machine after the little bit of a rundown that they had at the Charlotte Legends Oval back for round number 2 of the season, where Garrett Hess lapped the entire field except Garrett Streets, and the difference was only a couple tenths of a second between the 2 of them. And now how about we take a look down at some battles that are going on for position here. The 93, the 85, the 24, Corey Logan. These three drivers all duking it out for the third position right now. With these lap cars getting around the race leader, that's kind of thrown everyone to a little bit of a tizzy here. Kind of messed up the flow for everyone. And we're seeing these drivers get a lot more bunched up than they were before. There's a little bit of gap between Gardner and our two race leaders of Garrett Hess and Mark Royce. But with now 25 laps left to go here in tonight's event, it still could be anyone's game here. Corey trying to make a big move, getting down to the inside of that number 85. Not quite able to make it happen down through turns 3 and 4. Or turns 1 and 2, excuse me. Gonna back off a little bit through here, 3 and 4. As now Gardner has to deal with Sabelski hot on his heels. And the same is going for our race leader, Garrett Hess, who has had the 7 machine of Mark Royce really close it up to the back of him here. With 23 laps left to go, do these drivers have enough time to make the moves that they need to make here? Of course, Garrett Streets has unlapped himself, but that won't do him any good unless a caution flag flies to put him back at the tail end of the field on the lead lap here. Because even if he does have a lot of pace right now on these new tires, they are going to wear down fairly quickly, and 22 laps is not enough time on this current pace to get himself back around the track and caught up to the leaders under race conditions. But still, this battle for the lead is neck and neck here between the 12 and the 7. Lap cars in front of them, lap cars behind them. And I tell you what, I really wouldn't want to be in the situation of either of these drivers. 0.2 of a second dividing them here, really only about half a car length between Royce and Hess. And really just waiting for the right opportunity to try and make a move here. 20 to go though as we cross the line, or actually 19 to go, so even less than I thought. It's only going to come down to really just a couple more minutes between these two drivers. Of course, all of that continues to go under the assumption that we stay under the green flag. If a yellow flag comes out, things are going to be turned upside down on their heads here, and who knows how this thing is going to shake out. Streets has made a move, though. He's unlapped himself. He's got around that 45 of Mark Kluge, who is currently looking to potentially be put a lap down here in that MRN entry. A little bit of a bump there from the behind from the 12 machine. Don't think he expected to close up on the 45 that quickly. Of course, that little tap was all it took to close Royce back even further up to the bumper of that 12 machine as Kluge goes a lap down here. Of course, just behind is still that 4 machine of Daniel Sparks, who is a lap down, trying to unlap himself with 15 laps left to go here. Of course, if he is able to just hang out where he is, he will be the lucky dog should a caution flag fly. So regardless, he will be put back on the lead lap here if a caution flag flies. Still, all the drama here is this battle for the race lead. Garrett Hess looking for win number 3 of the season. Mark Royce looking for his first win of the season. But Hess looks like he's starting to pull away here just a little bit between the two of them. Going to be 12 to go as they come across the line here. It's now up to 0.4 of a second between the two of them. And still 0.4 of a second really ain't all that much. Maybe a car length at best, but that little scrape against the outside wall there not doing Royce any favors. I think these drivers really pushing their tires as far as they're willing to go. It does look like they're having maybe a little bit of issues out there with grip. Just behind now, a scrape against the wall for Sparks. But the big double high five is up in the air from the flagman. 10 laps left to go here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Just shy of 5 miles of competition remaining for tonight's event. And Garrett Hess continuing to lead the way by now about 5/10 of a second. He is managing to pull away here, but of course it ain't over till it's over. Still could be anyone's game here between himself and Royce. All it takes is one little mistake to completely turn this race upside down on its head. Behind Zabelski and Gardner, 2 and 3 seconds back respectively. Without a caution, I think both of those drivers are going to be having a hard time catching up to the field here. Royce still running about 4 to 5/10 of a second back from Garrett Hess. About a car length and a half between the two of them. Now 6 laps left to go here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. And still, Royce kind of struggling to close that gap up. Last time by equal speeds between these two drivers, but equal will not be enough for Royce to catch up. That said, that time around, as we get the 5 to go signal from the flagman, Mark Royce was slightly faster by 0.02 of a second. Will he be able to muster anything out of that number 7 machine to catch up to our race leader? 4 more laps to go here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. A little bit of lap traffic up ahead, but I don't think that's going to play a factor here at all. Just has to make it around 12 more corners for Garrett Hess to take home win number 3 on the season. Of course, Hess already does have a championship here in this league, but he's looking like he's on set to potentially take another one here. Already has the points lead by a pretty substantial margin, now looking to try and make it win number 3 here this evening. Coming out of turn number 4, white flag up in the air. 1 more lap to go here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Still up by about half a second over Mark Royce. Just 2 more corners to go. And coming out of turn number 4, checkered flag goes up in the air. It's going to be Garrett Hess taking home win number 3 here for season 17. Waiting for that 12 machine to bring the car back around. Surely he's not planning to save that motor for another race, not in a mini stock. He has every right to burn it down here this evening, and that is exactly what our race winner here this evening is going to do. Win number 3 out of 5 races total here this season, going to Garrett Hess. Alrighty, race fans, don't go anywhere. We will be back here in just a moment with some words with your top 3 finishers. Alrighty, race fans, welcome back to the Southern National Motorsports Park for round number 5 of Season 17 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series presented by SM Racing Products. 100 laps of competition here at the Southern National Motorsports Park here in the books, and darn near every single one of them was led by the number 12 of Garrett Hess, who is up here in the broadcast booth with me here this evening. Garrett, how are you feeling here tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. That was a great race. I had a lot of fun.
Of course, you came into tonight with the points lead. You have the most wins so far out of anyone here this season. Were you planning for this to be your win number 3 here?
I went in with pretty high hopes. I'm typically competent at Southern National, but I hadn't done this combo before. But yeah, I just drove it like I would with the ARCA car, and that's a combo I'm good at. So I just drove it like the ARCA car. Tried to keep sliding the car to a minimum and did my best to hold off Mark Royce, who gave me a real good shot and kept me on my toes the entire race.
I did see under the yellow there was a decent amount of drivers who elected to take tires here this evening. How were your tires feeling going on a single set all race?
It was getting pretty getting pretty sketchy, but as the track got cooler, because it was getting to nighttime, it gripped up a little bit. But people who didn't take tires, they didn't take it because if you took a set, you'd end up a lap down no matter what, because the pace lap speeds are only about 30 seconds here. So yeah, so really it was it, I was thinking about it under caution, but I saw how little people did it, and I was just like, I'm just gonna stay out and try to just drive how I normally drive, try to just maintain the lead.
Fair enough. Definitely seemed to work out for you tonight. Of course, win number 3 to your name, only solidifying your points lead even further than it already was. How are you feeling next week heading back to another road course for Lime Rock Park?
Well, the good thing is that Lime Rock, it's the classic layout, which is like the only version of Lime Rock that I like. Uh, should be easier than Road Atlanta, and I think that I've learned my lesson when it comes to that. But I don't think I'll be going for a win that race, but I'll definitely be trying to get a podium.
Good deal. That seems like a solid plan to me. Of course, taking home win number 3 here tonight, has that given you any more confidence going into the rest of the season as a whole?
Yeah, I think so, but we still got the drop week to work out. Brian's soon gonna be hot on my heels in the points chase, so I can't really ride easy just yet. But I'm feeling pretty good right now. Patting my lead a little bit, give me a little cushion in case of a mistake.
Good deal. Well, a heck of a run for you here tonight. A very exciting rest of the season to be looking forward to. But for this evening, before I let you go celebrate for the night, the microphone is all yours. Who do you want to thank for making things happen here this evening?
Yeah, first and foremost, I actually want to thank Mark Royce. He raced me pretty clean, kept the race really exciting and a workout for me. Uh, gave me a little shot into the corner, but that's just short track racing. Didn't wreck me or anything, and I didn't spin. And just great to have that type of race in here where people can race you clean, and it's not like official races where they'll just jump in and dump you. I also want to thank people at Team Watson Racing, great group of people. Want to thank Hardcore 10OC, Japanese Hardcore, still isn't dead. If you want happy hardcore and J-core, uh, memorabilia, go to tano-c.net and have a blast. But besides that, I want to thank you for putting on the broadcast for people to see, and the league admins for making this league how great it is. And I want to thank my brother for giving me something to wake up to look forward to every in the morning. And besides that, that's about it.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight. Congratulations on win number 3, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Lime Rock.
Yes, sir. See you then.
And finishing back here in position number 2 in that unsponsored number 7 machine is the driver out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's Mr. Mark Royce. Mark, how are you feeling here tonight? I don't know if I'm getting you over the radio here. Nope, still none. I see you're lighting up. It's trying to get through here. Can't believe they give these mini stock drivers faulty radios. That's kind of messed up. Well, for the moment, while we get that sorted out, I'm going to go here to Mr. Sabelski, who finished back in third, and then we'll come back up here to our second place finisher, Mr. Brian Sabelski, up +1 from where you qualified here tonight, so a little bit of an improvement. And of course, another podium is always good for the points. How are you feeling here this evening?
Feels good. Trek definitely felt like it was really hard to pass people on because it felt like both lanes were equal. So, you get a run going down the middle, and then outside lane would just pick up off the corner. That is kind of short track racing in a nutshell. So not really too surprised, but man, it made getting by people really difficult tonight. I don't really have a lot of complaints. I think the only complaint I have is iRacing for giving me a Phantom 4X running into Garrett there. Yeah, that was it's not cool. iRacing, don't do that. No, but a lot of hard racing, a lot of tough racing. I got a little bit of a shot from Corey at one point. Because he had a big run going on the inside. Yeah, a lot of back and forth. I did get around Jason finally. Took a little bit of a mistake on his part, but yeah.
Did you do as well as you were planning to coming into tonight's event?
Well, I always try and win these things, so like I try not to beat myself up too much if I don't win them. Like I'm sad. I'm sad I didn't win because I wanted to win. Because I thought I had a really good shot. Just those restarts were really difficult because you couldn't really go anywhere. And anytime you got two guys in front of you side by side, I'd be like frustrated. I'd be like, what the heck, guys, figure it out. Everyone else is getting away from us. But that's just, it's just the nature of these tracks is they're really, really, really difficult to pass on. And yeah, that's about it. But just hopefully, I'll take a look at the schedule again to realize where we're going next week and all that. But yeah, these short track races are very difficult, but at the same time, not too bad.
Fair enough. Still a solid finish for you here, points wise. And of course, next week, going to be heading over to Lime Rock Park, doing some more right turns yet again. I know you got a podium last week at a different road course, so how are you feeling about that?
Well, I think we'll see on that. One of those things I don't really know how it's going to go. I don't feel like the road courses are really my strength, despite the fact that I got a podium at Road Atlanta. I feel like I should have been a little bit closer to the front, a little bit closer to having a shot at winning it, but yeah, it's really difficult. Lime Rock's always interesting because I'm really curious to see how this car handles that track because I think it's going to be very different from Road Atlanta. It's a lot more. There's a lot less. What's the word I want to use? A lot less. Heavy braking zone. There's like one really heavy braking zone, and like everything else is just momentum, and you have to work your way around it. So let me take a look here. Classic. Okay, so classic is definitely more momentum based than GP with the chicane. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how this all shakes out next week.
Good deal. I'm definitely excited to see what happens out there. Unfortunately, missed last week on the broadcast, but hopefully we'll be able to get that posted up there here soon. Of course, after Lime Rock, though, couple more short tracks, couple more dirt tracks, and then one more road course. How are you feeling about your season overall right now?
Yeah, I'd really like to have a win by now. I feel like I've been pretty good on a lot of these tracks, but yeah, we'll see. I hope I can get a win here. I'd like to get a win in this car. At least one win in this car. Yep.
Good deal.
So
Well, of course, another podium to your name, always a pretty solid finish. Before I let you go for the night, though, the microphone is all yours, Mr. Sabelski. Who do you want to thank for making things happen?
well, of course, as always, thanks to the folks at Maconia Setup Shop, official setup shop of eNASCAR, which Coke Series is starting soon. So yeah, that will be fun. I'm not in that, so don't worry. I do not have the time of day to spend grinding for that. Of course, thanks to SM Racing Products for their awesome button boxes, sponsoring the series. Of course, ASRC for putting everything on, you for broadcasting, everyone hanging out here on Twitch. Hello, friends. Yeah, that's about it. Just looking forward to next week.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Lime Rock.
Thank you.
Then we're going to jump back up here to second position here, Mr. Mark Roy, see if we can't get him up here on the radio. Mark, how are you feeling here tonight? Looks like we're still having some technical difficulties there, maybe. We'll give it just a minute, though. We're not in a hurry here. At least I'm not, anyway. I don't know what you got going on, but I'm not in a hurry here. Looking like still no such luck. I can see he's trying to talk. There's definitely input coming in there, but it's not going out at all. Well, it wouldn't be short track racing without a little bit of technical difficulties here. We'll see if we can't get it sorted out here at all. Yeah, looks like we're not going to have any luck hearing from Mark here tonight, unfortunately. But we still got 7 more races left to go here in the season. I have a pretty good feeling this is not going to be the last time we see this driver up here in the broadcast booth. Very solid run for him, finished back in the second position here tonight. Hot on the heels of Garrett Hess, who in the early goings looked like he was going to absolutely steal the show here tonight. So a very solid finish for the driver of that number 7 machine. And of course, coming in tonight in the 7th position here in the point standings, right behind Jason Gardner and Derek Murphy, should be able to bump him up, probably up into maybe even 4th in the point standings after tonight's event. So very solid run here tonight for that number 7 machine, but unfortunately no such luck with getting them up here in the broadcast booth, unfortunately. Of course, those 3 drivers weren't the only 3 drivers present here in tonight's event, so how about we take a look down at our unofficial race results as they stand. Of course, I don't exactly think there's going to be any sort of penalties handed out here tonight. It was a pretty clean show here for this short track event. But of course, looking down at our race results, Garrett Hess takes home win number 3 here this evening, followed by the number 7, Mark Royce, back in second. Brian Sabelski in the number 85, rounding out your podium here. That's going to be the number 9-3 of Jason Gardner. Lee administrator rolling home back in 4th, followed by the CZ Robotics number 24 of Corey Logan, rounding out the top 5. Back in 6th, we have the K9P Racing 188 of Joshua Rudolph, followed by the SM Racing Products driver, Mr. Garrett Streets, rolling out position number 7. Back in 8th, that's going to be the HTB number 4 of Daniel Sparks back there, followed by the 78 of Derek Murphy back in 9th, with Mark Kluge in the number 45, rounding out the tail end of this 10-car field here this evening. Of course, like we were saying during the interviews, next week, these drivers are going to be making some right turns yet again, heading over to the Lime Rock Park. Of course, the classic layout, so no chicanes, no funny business. Should be all momentum all the time. It's going to be quite the roller coaster over there. Then after that, got another short track of the Oxford Plains Speedway. Then we go dirt track racing at Lanier. Then our last big track of the season, going to be going to the Darlington Speedway for 74 laps in February. Then we got one more road course, one more dirt track, and one more short oval to crown the champion once again at South Boston. I believe South Boston has held, I want to say, 4 or 5 season championships here for the ASRC Oval Series since its inception. South Boston is just the place to be to throw hands for a championship, and that is going to be one heck of a fun race to watch here in these cars. That said, though, that's about all we got here tonight. Thank you all for tuning in to tonight's event, and I look forward to seeing you all same day, same time, Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. And of course, if you want to join the league, be sure to give it a look-see down in the description below or on the iRacing.com platform. The only requirement to join is to be a clean and respectful driver. Thank y'all for tuning in here tonight, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Have a good evening.